Hello and welcome back everyone, we're of course back, and today as you can see we're finally back. I know it's been way too long once again, but once again we're back. Now, sorry if I sound a bit off, I am currently sick, but the show must go on. Now, as you can tell by the title, the thumbnail, all that, this is going to be the long requested, long awaited, poll winning guide for what to do after getting started in Hypixel Skyblock. Now, every time I've done a poll asking what video I should do next, this topic always goes very high on the rankings, or for my last poll, it even won, but it won a bit too late and I had already recorded the video, so I wasn't gonna just skip the video. Anyway, before we do get started, I do want to mention one quick thing, and that is, if you haven't subscribed already, if you haven't entered into the giveaway already, definitely make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying that you subscribed and your in-game name to enter my 1,000 subscriber special giveaway, which is upcoming in only a few days. It's going to end on the 5th of December, so only about a week left right now, as of recording this. Probably only a couple days, if even that much, by the time of posting. So, definitely make sure to enter in fast. It's going to be at least 50 mil, probably upwards of a couple 100 mil. So, you do not want to miss out on that. So, without further ado, let's get started on what to do after getting started. So, first things first, there is one massive question that we need to take into account, and that is, where are we starting off on? Because getting started in Hypixel Skyblock could mean a ton of different things. Well, for those of you who have been around on the channel for a while, you'll most likely have seen my Getting Started in 2023 guide, and by the end of that, I had suggested essentially, gear-wise, leaving off with somewhere around a mineral set or glaciite set or something like that, and an endstone sword, because they were pretty cheap at the time, and even still, they're not too expensive. I mean, they're expensive for just getting started, but it's not too bad. So, we're going to be going off of just a bit later into the game after that. So, you know, you kept on mining, you kept on farming, you upgraded your minions a bit, you got a bit better pets, you know, you just kept on going with the natural progression. This is mainly going to be for what to focus on after that point. So, for things you're going to want to buy, or try to, you know, obtain on your own if you're on an Iron Man profile, for one thing, cannot guarantee how easy that'll be since this is meant for a normal profile and not Iron Man, but the main weapon you're going to want to focus on trying to get is, of course, the aspect of the dragons. Now, you can generally find a base, you know, unupgraded one of these for pretty cheap considering how good it is. I mean, compare the damage of this and the ability of this and all that to the endstone sword, and the increase in price really is not bad in the slightest. And once again, you're going to have continued with your minions, you're going to have continued with mining, farming, foraging, all that. So you're going to have some money by this point, hopefully, unless you've spent it already. In which case, don't do that. But if you're still going for a berserk, or even a mage possibly because of that ability, the aspect of the dragons is a very solid choice at this point in the game, where you're kind of mid-early game. And yeah, that's the weapon I would generally recommend. Or, if you're going for an archer, then don't do that. Archer in early game is just not a good way to go, and I would not recommend it. Now, Archer in mid to late game, very, very good, as we all know. But, once again, early game, not great. Your best option for a dungeon is going to be like a machine gun bow or something. You don't want to be using that. Now, if you are fully trying to go with a mage build and all that, you could always go with a bonzo staff, but to be fair, for what you get, that price is way, way too high, in my book at least. I'm not saying they're bad in any way, but just, that's a high price for a better Dreadlord sword, is all I'm saying. Personally, I would recommend just going with normal weapons that have good abilities, such as the aspect of the dragons, as I said, and then once you have a lot more coins, I would just recommend going for like a Glacial Scythe or some other mid-game mage weapon like that. Because, to be fair, I consider a Glacial Scythe worth 70 million, way more than I consider a bonzo staff to be worth that much. Now, to be fair, I don't really go as a mage too much, especially in dungeons, and I haven't used a bonzo staff in a long time, so if it got an upgrade or something, and I'm given some bad information on this one, definitely let me know down in the comments below, and if I did get it wrong, if bonzo staff is somehow absolutely amazing in this day and age, and somehow worth 5.7 million coins, then let me know down in the comments, and I absolutely apologize if I'm wrong about that. Anyway, let's get on to some more items that you should focus on or try to buy in this kind of mid-early game stage of the game. Now, a good thing to do in this stage of the game is to really focus on your skills, because getting your farming up higher is going to give you health. Getting your mining up higher is going to give you defense and reforges and all that. Getting your combat, that's going to give you damage and crit chance and all that. Your foraging, that's strength, so essentially also damage. Your fishing, that's more health. These all give you so many more stats. So, it is so helpful to just level at least these ones early in the game. Because, you know, you don't want to be going around with low mining, low foraging in the early game when you're trying to deal damage. I know my foraging still isn't great, and I know my alchemy is definitely not great. I don't like alchemy. That is way too boring of a skill to level. I honestly prefer foraging, and foraging is terrible, because you just run around in the park chopping trees. Some people may like it, I'm not a big fan of it, hence my low level on it, but still better than alchemy. Anyway though, I do definitely recommend leveling your skills as much as possible in the early game, as I was saying, which means that I absolutely recommend investing in a tree capitator as soon as you can. This thing is going to just chop down trees like they're nothing, and if you add a good reforge on it, such as double bit as I have here, you're gonna get foraging fortune and extra speed, so you'll run faster. Obviously, that's what speed does. And these things aren't too expensive. As you can see down in the bizarre price estimate thing, it's about 1 to 2 mil. And just to prove it, here in the actual auction house, the lowest bin is indeed 1.9 mil, so Badlion isn't having some weird glitch there. It really is that cheap. And by cheap, I just mean, you know, not overly expensive. It is still a pretty penny, but it's worth every penny. Now, as I was saying, it's good to level as many of your skills as possible for as many extra stat points as you can get, which means I'd absolutely recommend going for mining as well. That defense is going to be very helpful, which means, once again, I recommend having a alright pickaxe. I'm not saying a, you know, titanium drill or anything to start with. I'm not saying a Devon's drill in the early game. I'm not saying any of that. I don't expect you to have a full-on, you know, maxed out gemstone gauntlet when you're just starting out or anything like that, but I recommend an alright pickaxe that can get you around at least like the crystal hollows and the dwarven mines and stuff like that once you can get there, because, you know, there's no reason not to mine a little bit, and it's good to level up the skill once again. Personally, I would recommend something like a mithril pickaxe just because they're so cheap, they're so easy to get. You literally get into the dwarven mines, go to the right, and there's a shop that sells them for hardly any coins. And then you can just throw some enchants on them, boom, alright pickaxe that'll completely carry you through the dwarven mines in my book. Now you can also go with something like a jungle pickaxe. This will give you a bonus when you're in the jungle area of the crystal hollows, which is always a nice thing. Or, if you really don't like mining, I still recommend having something in case if you choose to, you know, decorate your island a bit or something like that. So even like an enchanted diamond pick would work, but just have something. You don't want to just be relying on some random unenchanted wooden pickaxe in your backpack or anything like that. You want to have something that's, you know, ready in case you ever need it. Just like this. That also goes for a shovel. This isn't really an example of that. My shovel's right over here. But it's always good to have just tools all around. You always want to be prepared, is the point I'm getting at. Honestly, you don't really need a tool for farming though, because unless if you're really farming and going in the garden and all that, then just doing it by hand is going to be easy enough. Now, one super simple thing that I recommend getting, that is so cheap, so easy to get, but kinda easy to forget about, at least in my opinion, is the personal bank. This thing you get through the Emerald Collection, if I remember right. Right here, it's only at level 6, which is kinda high, 15,000 emeralds. That's not too bad though. You get a minion going and you have that in no time. And this basically will let you use your bank anytime. Say you don't have a booster cookie, active, and you're going into a dangerous area, and you've got millions of coins in your purse, and you just don't feel like returning back to the bank the normal way. Well, you can just deposit all your money through here. No big deal. Now, you do have a cooldown, 1 hour for mine. I believe it's longer with the first level, but I think I upgraded mine. I could be remembering wrong. But once you go to the bank, which I'll show as an example right here, your personal bank will be reset. So if you're near the bank and just don't feel like making the run, say you're about to, fight a Revenant Slayer over there or something, you don't feel like running back, but you don't feel like risking losing your coins, boom, throw them in the personal bank, run back here whenever you get a chance, and you can use it again like nothing. Now, as I mentioned too, you can actually upgrade the personal bank, which is super helpful because it decreases the amount of time for the cooldown. And to upgrade your personal bank, you don't, take it out and craft it with anything or anything like that. You have to go over here, which is, near the Coliseum area. Then you run up here, and this individual here will actually upgrade it for you at the price of coins and emerald collection. Now, another thing I highly recommend investing in is another very simple one, but another easy one to forget: the sacks that you can get. Now, once again, I haven't really taken the time to upgrade mine a ton yet, and I absolutely mean to, but generally I sell my sacks a lot, and I don't really store them up too much. But you always want to at least have a, collection of the small sacks. Upgrading them, that's great. Upgrade them as much as you can. That's what you want to be doing. Being able to carry 20,000 of any of the mining items, that's a lot better than, 2,000 of the combat items. So, upgrade them as much as you can, as fast as you can, but just definitely make sure that you actually, get the sacks, whatever size they are, because it just saves so much inventory space and so much time. Now, everyone does different things in Hypixel Skyblock, obviously. Some people might be a farmer, some people might be a miner, some people might be going through dungeons all the time. Anyone can do anything in Hypixel Skyblock. Basically, no one's going to be doing the exact same things. So I'm not going to be too specific with this one, but what I will say is invest in some pets that are good for anything you're doing. So, I'm not saying, get a golden dragon as soon as you start if you're doing combat a lot, but if you're trying to tank stuff, try to do some mining so that you can get a rock pet or just buy one. If you're doing mining in the Crystal Hollows, get an armadillo, they're super cheap. If you're doing foraging, get a monkey. Forging fortune and all that is an amazing thing. Or even better, go for an ocelot. Forging wisdom means you level up faster. That is so much better when it comes to good old foraging, because once again, it's an annoying skill to do. If you're doing basically anything, go for a bee. This thing's amazing. If you're going for combat, go for a lion. Just basically look through the pets and see what could help you with any task, because these things do make such a big difference. I've already done a couple videos about what pets to go for too, so if you'd like to check any of those out, I will be leaving a card up in the corner and also a link in the description to the videos that I've done about pets. So make sure to check those out too if you're not quite sure which ones to go for. Now, another great thing to invest in, this is an easy to forget one too, but it's a super helpful one, is a dungeon setup that you can always have on you. Now, this one's kinda outdated, right? I don't use this, and I barely use this, because I haven't really upgraded it yet, obviously, hence it being a wand of healing still. But, have a dungeon orb ready, have a ton of Super Boom TNT, have some Spirit Leaps, have some potions. I need to stock back up right now, but, have everything you need for the dungeons at the ready in case if you ever choose to go in a dungeon, because you never want to have to go back to your island after you've already partied up, after you're already ready, and then you're like, oh wait, I forgot my dungeon orb. Oh wait, I forgot Super Boom TNT, I can't do anything here. Oh wait, I'm stuck, and I don't have a Spirit Leap. You never want to have that happen. So you always want to be prepared for anything that you could need. Once again, that's another reason why I have a lot of the stuff that I have. I have decoys for if I'm ever doing floor 4 and need to, put a decoy down for the bats. I don't really need to anymore, but it's always a good thing to have. I have a defuse kit for if I ever need to use that. I have, once again, more spirit leaps. These things are great to have. And just all around, you want to be prepared for anything that can happen, as long as you have the storage space for it. I mean, most of mine is junk. As you can see, I have a random Arachne set in here, because I'm trying to get this last piece of the gear. I have some Ender stuff here just because. I already have that in my museum, so there's no reason for that to even be here. It's not like I'm trying to collect it actively or anything. And, I mean, I'm not using the Magma Rod currently, because I'm still 7 levels off from being able to. So there's not any reason for me to have some of the stuff that I have here. You know, Spook isn't going to help me anytime soon, so I could put this away. And yeah, basically just keep it compact, but have anything you could need, is the point I'm getting to with all of this. Now the next thing I'm going to be talking about is actually the armor that you're going to want to invest in. Personally, I do not consider this to be a big topic because I don't think you need to invest in a ton of armor in the early game. You know, you get the dragon armor, you get a couple other sets for utility, and then you're good. So, first off, onto that dragon armor that I just mentioned. Now, dragon armor, there is a ton of it. There's protector, there's old, there's unstable, there's young, there's all sorts of other kinds. And really, most of them are not that great. I mean, protector, if you're going as a tank, is alright. It is comparable to old. Personally, I would take old over protector, but that's just me. Young dragon, straight up useless in my book. Yeah, you get speed. It doesn't give you anything else. Health is lower, defense is lower. This stuff is useless, unless if you're trying to be the Flash. Now, I don't know about you, but I go for practicality, and if I need to run fast, I take a God Potion, and that's fast enough for me. Or, I, you know, get an AOTD, or an Aspect of the Void, or any teleportation, or a grappling hook if I'm really strapped for coins, and I just teleport. You know, you don't really need speed too much after a certain point. And when it doesn't really benefit you in any other way other than speed. If any of you want to disagree in the comments down below, make sure to do that. I'll hear any of the arguments for young dragon armor, but in my book this stuff is trash. Now, unstable, it's alright, it's got that extra crit damage and crit chance, which is always a good thing, but for the ability it could be better. Personally, I don't actually know how much damage the lightning does, so I'm not sure on how good it is, but it just doesn't seem that great. Now for the holy dragon armor, if you're going as a healer, it's pretty good. You know, 200 health regen for everyone around you within 10 blocks, you know, that's an okay radius. That's not bad. I personally wouldn't recommend it. Once again, I go off of practicality, and doesn't seem too useful for anything other than being a healer, so I don't care for it too much. Or Wise Dragon, for if you want to be a mage. Amazing set, but weirdly expensive now. I remember this stuff used to be a bit more expensive than the others, maybe like 300k a piece. Now it's 650k for the helmet. That is insanity. But that or Strong Dragon is where it's at. Those are my personal favorites, because those are the ones you're going to get the most utility out of. Now by utility, I mean damage. If any of you saw my last video about, you know, the most damaging mage pet, you know I like damage. I like the big number, because it's fun. Now, I don't care for tanking, so old and protector dragon armor, they're okay, but I personally wouldn't go for them. And once again, it really just depends on what you're trying to do. Holy, alright if you're a healer. Wise, the go-to for if you want to be a mage. Strong, go-to if you want to be a berserk. Or unstable, since it's got the crit chance and crit damage. As I said, never go with young, especially for dungeons. So yeah, those are the dragon armors that I would personally recommend. I would never recommend investing in superior dragon armor, because it's overrated. It's good, kind of, but it's not good enough for the price. And even more so, by the point that you can actually use it, And even more so than that, the point that you can use it in dungeons, because a dungeonized piece is going to have a high requirement. Well, you're going to have better stuff by then. And you're going to have stuff that is probably lower requirements and still better. So yeah, dragon armor can be completely up to what you go for in the dungeons, but I would generally recommend either old or protector for a tank, wise obviously for a mage, strong or unstable for a berserk, because they both actually increase your damage, which is pretty good for a berserk, believe it or not. And holy if you really want to for a healer, but honestly, a tank could even be more useful if you're using other abilities too, because then you'll survive even more, but that's up to you. And just simply, as I said, never use Young Dragon because it's terrible and overrated. Now another suggestion I have for the armor that you invest in would be to get very varying sets. You know, you want to invest in things that are going to be useful anytime, anywhere. Once again, always good to be prepared. So for example, I sometimes do like to do some fishing, so I have the diver's armor here too, in case if I do ever fish in normal water or for the lava fishing. And I do like to go as a mage sometimes outside of dungeons for the slayers, because an alright mage set like this, mixed with this glacial scythe, it destroys the slayer bosses that I go against. It's always good to have a golden or diamond, if you can afford it, head for the dungeons for whatever floor you generally go to. I generally do floor 5, so I have this livid head here. I recommend getting it as good as you can. No point in getting a low tier one and then having to upgrade it yourself. So I recommend going for ancient, 5 stars, potato books, all that. It's always good to have a mining set. As I've said in the past in other videos, this isn't a great mining set, but if I do choose to do, say, some endstone mining, this is a great set for that, because I can break every block around the endstone because of the breaking power, and that'll give a ton of endstone. It will spawn a ton of endermites and all that, so it's a good time. So essentially, have an armor set for anything you do, you know, pretty normally, pretty often. So once again, you want to be prepared for anything that you can generally run into. Now this next one is a pretty big one. I did just run into the fountain. But yeah, this next one is a pretty big one. And I've already kind of talked about it, and by kind of I mean basically fully talked about it. But at this point in the game, you know, when you're having the dragon armor, the aspect of the dragons, all this, you're gonna want to be, you know, upgrading your skills as much as possible. Extra stats are gonna be crucial at this point in the game. I mean, at any point in the game, they're gonna be crucial, but at this point, they're going to be super helpful because you're going to be wanting any extra damage and health and all that you can get. Now, the first thing I would really recommend focusing on, more so than anything just about, is the combat skill. This is going to be needed for many of the things that you're going to be doing at this stage of the game. First off, you're going to need it to be able to use the aspect of the dragons. That's got a pretty hefty combat requirement. I'm pretty sure if I remember right, it's level 18. I could be remembering wrong though. Dragon armor is also around that same combat requirement, and you're going to also want to enter the end and explore there, farm some ender nodes for another way of making money, all sorts of other things, and you're going to need combat 15 to do that. And as we all know, combat 15 for dungeons as well. So you're going to be doing a lot that has to do with the combat skill around this point in the game. Now the other ones that I would really suggest more than anything to focus on are foraging. Once again, I know that I haven't really leveled it, but, you know, it's a good one to level. And farming, because, once again, you're going to want all the extra stats that you can get, and generally, that health and that strength are going to be amazing. Now, if you are going as a mage, then I would say go for, you know, enchanting and alchemy, because that's going to give you intelligence and all that. But if you're just going for a normal playthrough, if you're not really a mage, then the strength and the health is going to be amazing. It's going to just give you that straight up survivability and that straight up extra damage. Once again, focus on as many skills as you can, but I'd say focus as much as you can on combat, and then the next two to focus on would be the farming and the foraging, as I said. So that you'll get the extra stats and survivability and damage, because it's a great time. Now, the next suggestion I have is very simple. It is to just explore everywhere you can. I'm saying go to the park, explore everywhere there. Talk to NPCs that you can talk to, you know, do everything you can do there. Look around as much as you can, really familiarize yourself with environments. Go to the spider's den, do the same there. Go to the end once you can. I'm going to be making a guide about the end and things to do there and all that very soon, but I still recommend just going there, walking around, doing stuff that NPCs tell you to do. There's a race there that you can do that, you know, there's no reason not to do. Essentially just explore, familiarize yourself with the areas, and then if you ever have to get somewhere specific, you won't be stuck wondering, how do I get here? How do I get there? Because you'll already know. That's the key. You want to know before you have to do. Now, another big factor when you're first starting out to get more stats, and specifically, you know, more health and all that, is the skyblock levels. Now, before, in the olden days, I would say go farm every fairy soul that you physically can, because that'd be another great, you know, add-on for explore everywhere you can, right? But those don't really give you much health anymore. They give you skyblock XP. So still do that, but other areas that are going to give you a ton of skyblock XP are actually the museum. This place is insane for skyblock XP. This place will make you rich with XP. And the simple reason why is basically anytime you deposit an item, it could be an item that's so cheap you get it for free. A rogue sword. A fancy sword, this thing is worth nothing. A spider sword, also worth nothing. Undead sword. This is literally what I suggested for when you first come to the main hub. You know, you farm a couple things of wheat, you sell them, and you get one of these. This is not expensive. None of these are expensive. You know, an end sword, this is about the same tier. Starlight wand, super cheap. Dreadlord sword, you get tons and tons of these for free once you start dungeons, or you can buy them for like 100 coins from the right person. So, in short, you really do not have to spend a lot to donate items to the museum, and that's the whole kind of point here. These are cheap items, you can put them in super easily. I believe you get Void Sword for like 100k after doing a quest, and it's not a bad sword, but all around, that's not too much for the amount of XP that you get from this. Now, to show for an example, each item that you donate is going to be 4 Skyblock XP, and every intermediate museum reward, which is every other, you know, 5 rewards, is going to give you 10 Skyblock XP. And sometimes between those, you'll get a major museum reward, which is always fun. Essentially just donate to the museum. There's no reason not to, other than the fact that you can't sell the items afterwards, hence why I haven't donated my Glacial Scythe yet, in case if I ever do choose to sell it, even though I know I won't. And I haven't donated my Withered Shadow Fury yet, because of the same reason. Now, there is one last thing I need to say, and this is for how you can make as many coins as possible, right? Because all of the things that I've mentioned, or most of them I should say, have something to do with buy this, buy that, invest in this, you know, try to buy this to donate it. All of that, all of the things I've mentioned except for focusing on skills involve coins. And in case it wasn't obvious, going around and just kind of picking wheat or farming cobble, or even farming, you know, mithril or early gemstone mining, isn't really gonna fund all this. So, the minions are where you gotta go. Now, you can do a lot of stuff very actively that's gonna get you a lot more coins than minions generally will, but the thing about minions is, you don't have to do anything with them. You just have to get them, or craft them, and then you leave them there. And you can go do whatever active money-making method you want to do, while these things make money on their own. Now, I have a bunch of guides for what, you know, tricks can make minions even better, what minions to go with, stuff like that. And just like with the pet guides, I will be leaving a card up in the corner if any of you want to check out any of those, and a link in the description in case you missed the card. But, in short, minions are really good. Now, this here is a gunpowder minion. or a creeper minion more specifically, but it makes gunpowder obviously. I have this for collection purposes, and I was out of town for a couple weeks, hence this video taking so long. And when I get back, look at that, 1.5 million coins. Gunpowder, very valuable, surprisingly. Here are the big ones though. Snow Minion, after a couple weeks, almost 4 million coins because of these red gifts. And then there's always, of course, the slime minions as well. These are classics, 3.2 mil in that time, and those just literally, you don't even have to sell anything. You just go into the enchanted hopper and there it is. So yeah, all in all, you can do whatever active money-making method you generally prefer. Personally, in terms of time and fun of doing it and all that, I prefer end node mining, as I said, because it's super easy to do, basically no actual hefty requirement, and there's not too much danger, so you're not going to be like losing coins that you get, and you can actually make a ton of coins. But just get some minions too, because these things are insane. I mean, once again, looking back at the Snow Minion, this is a 1 million investment right here, 380k right here, 150k right here. That's not much in terms of the items. Snow Minions themselves are stupid cheap at this point, and you could probably get a tier 11 for like 500 to 800k. I'm not going to say that as an exact number, but that's just my estimate. So if you've got like 2 mil and a bit of change, you can get this Snow Minion set up and be making, you know, almost 4 mil in a couple weeks. Once again, while doing nothing. This is the key part here. Anyway, that is going to be all though. These are all my suggestions for what to do after getting started. I don't really have any suggestions for what to actually do, you know, what the best thing to do is, because that depends on what you choose to do. This is a game where you gotta choose where to go and what to do, and if you don't like mining, I can't tell you, oh, go do some mining. And I know from my own experience, if someone tells me to go do mining for a ton of coins, but I have to just mine non-stop forever and I don't like mining, then I'm simply just not gonna do it. That's why I like minions so much. It doesn't matter what you like to do, because you can do whatever you do like to do and still be making a ton of coins. So that's why I wasn't really saying actual activities for what to do, but more so things to focus on and things to invest in. Hope it helped though. If it didn't, or if you have any other things that I should have mentioned, definitely make sure to leave a comment down below. If it did help, however, and if you liked the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos like it. And definitely make sure to subscribe and leave a comment for the giveaway entry, as I said in the beginning, because there's only a couple days left, and we gotta get as many entries in as possible. I also have a secondary channel that I will be leaving a link to down in the description below, where I do general, simple gaming videos. So far I've done Minecraft and Trailmakers, but I plan to branch out to a ton of different games, and if any of you like just simple gaming content like that, definitely make sure to subscribe over there as well. Our goal is hopefully to hit 100 subscribers eventually. We're pretty far off right now, but I think we can do it. So definitely make sure to subscribe there. And if you have any suggestions for a future guide, future game to play, or anything I may have missed in this video, or really anything at all. If you want to say the word potato to confuse the people who didn't make it to the end of the video, make sure to comment that down below. Especially the potato thing. That is the best thing to comment right there. Anyway though, thank you all for watching once again. Till next time everyone, and goodbye.